Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Some massive news for the LSU Tiger fans as LSU goes out and lands the number one player, the number one quarterback in the 2025 class, and five-star quarterback Bryce Underwood from the state of Michigan. And what Brian Kelly in this LSU program is doing on the recruiting trail the last couple of days, really special stuff. And you take a look at what this offense might look like in the future, just taking a sneak peek at what that 2025 class looks like. Harlem Berry committing a couple of days ago, already having DeCorian Moore locked in. LSU now has the number one quarterback, the number one running back, and the number one wide receiver all committed to LSU in the 2025 class. This offense was phenomenal in 2023. It's going to look like it's going to be pretty phenomenal for the next couple of years in Baton Rouge. Really excited to get into Bryce Underwood, talk a little bit about what he is going to bring to LSU. Before we get into it, just want to say thank you to you guys and a special shout out to the LSU fans. We've talked a ton of LSU football on the recruiting trail, obviously starting with New Year's Eve night, Dominic McKinley, five-star defensive lineman, flipping his commitment to LSU, talking Harlem Berry. Now Bryce Underwood. You guys have shown a ton of support. Many of you guys know I love talking the recruiting trail. Can't thank you guys enough for rocking with it. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Bryce Underwood. And you take a look at Bryce Underwood. Yes, he's a five-star quarterback. You see a lot of five-star quarterbacks. Bryce Underwood is different. I mean, he's the number one quarterback, number one player in the country for a reason. And you listen to a lot of high school and college football scouts. I mean, the narrative around Bryce Underwood, getting those comparisons to Trevor Lawrence level of prospect here. And for good reason. You take a look at Bryce Underwood and what he's done on the football field. His freshman and sophomore year in high school, as a freshman and sophomore, threw for over 5,600 yards, 76 touchdowns. And then you start looking at the physical traits that Bryce Underwood brings to the table. And we'll turn on the film in just a second. Big body at 6'3.5", 205 pounds. A absolute howitzer of an arm, but not just an arm that has a ton of arm strength, right? He can attack that deeper third. He layers his footballs extremely well, extremely accurate with the football, a very good decision maker, only 4 interceptions as a junior at the high school level, and elite athleticism. And you're starting to see, I mean, Jaden Daniels obviously portrayed that at a high level, but college football quarterbacks need to have the ability to extend plays, play off script, kind of create something out of nothing. Bryce Underwood has that athleticism too. I mean, there's not really many boxes that Bryce Underwood doesn't check, and most of those boxes that he's checking at such a high level. Want to turn on the film a little bit for Bryce Underwood. Take a look at what he brings to the table, and this is one of the more impressive film studies that you'll watch, and this is him as a sophomore in high school. And what you're going to see, one, I mean, the athleticism to make some, I mean, free runner, absolutely. I mean, that is, I didn't realize that. I mean, this free runner, that's a tough one. You take a look at what he does to poor number 32 here. Absolutely shakes him. But then you see, I mean, keeping his eyes down the field, throwing on the run, absolute dot, hits his receiver in stride, sets up a touchdown. Bryce Underwood can do kind of everything. And you're going to see him push the ball down the field. You're going to see him throw a beautiful layered ball in that post corner, something that Jaden Daniels did a phenomenal job of. And then you're going to see the athleticism. Like when he's out in space, he's one of the better athletes on the football field. He has the long speed to hit the big play. He has the ability to make people miss. I mean, he kind of shows everything on this tape. An absolute rope here to the pylon of the end zone. I mean, those throws are special. You see a lot of college football quarterbacks struggle to make those kind of throws. Bryce Underwood has been making those throws since he's been a sophomore in high school, effortlessly pushing the ball down the field, dropping it right in the bucket. What you see on the film is something that is honestly really special, but there's not really a throw that he can make. And here's a good chance that Bryce Underwood comes in and is the immediate starter in the 2025 season. And I say that because not only he's a five-star quarterback, he's been playing high-level high school football since he's been a freshman in high school. And you see, again, the physical capabilities are all there. His body's physically mature at 6'3.5", 205 pounds. He can make any throw that you want him to make and has a lot of experience playing quarterback, right? So he's coming in with a lot of game reps under his belt. Bryce Underwood, I mean, truly one of the more dynamic quarterbacks that we've seen come from the high school ranks. And for LSU fans, I I mean, this is what needs to excite you the most, right? 8 commitments, the number 2 class in the country. You start scrolling down. I mean, the 3 top commitments, all number 1 players at their class. Bryce Underwood, the number 1 quarterback, Dakarrion Moore, the number 1 wide receiver. That is going to be a special battery. And we've seen special batteries for the LSU Tigers, right? Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, which you saw with Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors. And then you have an extremely talented running back in Harlem Berry coming in as well. This LSU offense, you kind of see why Brian Kelly took the initiative to go change this defense and realized, hey, we're going to have an offense that is going to be one of the better offenses that you see in the entire country for the next 3 to 4 years. And so if we get this defense right, if we even have an average defense over the next couple of years, this is going to be one of the most dangerous teams that you see in all of college football. So what does he go out and do? Knowing that this offense, knowing that Bryce Underwood is probably already committed to LSU at this time, we got to go get this defense right. We got to take the initiative. We go out and pay Blake Baker $2.5 million to come turn around this defense. And again, you don't need to have a top 10 defense for LSU to be one of the best teams that we see in the country over the next couple of years. Because you look at this offense, it is hard to see a reality where LSU is not having a top 5, top 3 offense in the entire country over the next couple of years, including 2024 with what you saw from Garrett Nussmeier in the bowl game. And so this is going to be an elite offense for years to come. You bring in Blake Baker to turn around this defense. I mean, if you're thinking about buying stock in a program over the next couple of years, Brian Kelly going into year 3, kind of establishing that culture and that player development, I don't know how many more programs I'm taking over LSU over the next couple of years. And you talk about closing the gap between Georgia and Alabama and the SEC. It certainly seems like LSU is doing that. And the best way to close that gap is to have a generationally talented quarterback. And that, in my mind, is exactly what Bryce Underwood is. And many of you guys have heard me talk recruiting. I don't normally use this term, like program changing prospect. I try to really safeguard that term. We're not throwing that out there for a lot of different players committing to schools. It's hard to say Bryce Underwood is not kind of a program trajectory changer for the LSU Tigers, a massive commitment. This is a program that I think you're going to see make some massive strides over the next couple of years. Wanted to hop on, talk a little bit about Bryce Underwood again, one of the more impressive prospects that we'll see in the 2025 class. And honestly, the last couple of years, appreciate the LSU fans checking the boys out again. Can't thank you guys enough for all the support. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.